welcome to this episode of Tasty Tuesday. Today we're going to be working with corn, and corn is one of those summertime favorites, especially when it comes to cooking out. But corn is the most popular vegetable that's in the United States. We love corn. But sometimes corn gets a bad rap. It's high in carbs, it's high in natural sugars, and it is a starchy vegetable. 1 ear of corn has about 90 calories, and it has about 19 grams of carbs and about 6 grams of sugar. But it can be part of a healthy diet if you just eat it in moderation. But corn can also be a grain. It can fall into the grain food group as well as the vegetable food group. It's dried and it can be ground up into flour if you like cornbread, cornmeal. And also it can be popped for a healthy little snack if you want to. But for today, we're going to make a simple recipe that's called sauteed fresh corn. And from start to finish, this recipe will probably take about 25 minutes. And you probably have everything you need in your pantry except for your corn. Now yesterday I had the privilege of getting some fresh corn from a local farmer, and it's beautiful corn. So this is really fresh, and I encourage you to find some fresh corn and use it to prepare your dish. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to get the husk and the silks off the corn kind of easily. Most of us will just shuck the corn and we have all the silks at the top and we're trying to peel them off. So this is a nifty little way to kind of help ease that process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off a few of these husks just to make it a little bit easier. And then you're just going to kind of feel inside near the bottom of the ear where that first row of corn is, and we're just going to cut this part off. And I encourage you to use a really sharp knife when you do that. And I'm just going to pop this in the microwave. Since I only have 1 ear of corn, I'm just going to put it in there for like 2 minutes. But you can put it anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. And you're going to see how easy this comes off. Our corn is done, and we've basically, the husk and the heat has kind of formed a steam, so it's going to help us to get that corn husk and those silks, especially the silks, off pretty easily. And I'll try to. Now, I've seen it on the computer where people, and it can be hot, so be careful because it is warm on my hands. Well, they'll grab it from the top and they'll just shake it and they'll get the corn to come right out. But I don't have much success with that, so I kind of get as much off as I can and loosen it up. And then I'll just kind of hold it from the bottom if I can, and I'll just pull it right off. And the silks, and you can see the silks just come right off. They're not, you're not working at it to get it. I know my mother and dad would get a brush and try to scrape them off, but you can see that was really simple to get those silks off of there. All right, so this recipe, it calls for 8 ears of corn, and I've already got 7 of them in here cut off the cob. And this is just a nifty way to cut it off the cob. Some people, especially if you're putting up a lot of corn, you may want to get a corn cutter, and you just get your corn and just slide it. It actually goes this way, and there's a really sharp blade here, and you can slide it down the blade over a bowl. But lots of times we don't have that. So a nifty little way to do it is get a bundt pan or a tube pan and just put it here in the center in the hole, and it holds your corn, your ear of corn, and then you just cut your corn off and it just falls down into the pan. Now this is sweet corn, and this recipe calls for, I believe it's a half a teaspoon of superfine sugar at the very end, but I'm not going to add that. When you get fresh corn, you normally need to eat it within 5 days. After that, it's going to start losing its sweetness. And if you can't actually cook it the day that you pick it up, I'm going to take that off because it's kind of hot. I can't cut that off, but normally I would cut that off. If you can't cook your corn the day that you actually purchase it, just leave it in the husk and put it in the refrigerator. And then when you get ready to cook it, just, you know, take it out of the husk and so forth. Now that I have all of my 8 ears of corn cut off the cob, I'm going to come over here to my skillet, and I have 3 tablespoons of butter in here, so I'm going to turn up my skillet and just spread this around. Then we're going to add our corn to this. And we're going to cook it. We don't want it to get mushy. We're going to cook it for about 6 to 7 minutes and taste it. We still want it crisp, but we want it cooked. We just don't want it mushy. And it doesn't take corn that long to cook. And this is super, super simple. What's going to take the longest is just shucking your corn. So we'll let this go about 6 to 7 minutes. And corn is ready. And as I said, this came out of the field yesterday. They were picking corn, and I have a family friend who they have a family farm, and she told me I could come and get me some fresh corn. And I encourage you to support your local farmer. They work hard to grow this food. Plus it tastes really good. I love fresh corn. Now when this is done, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And you could also add that superfine sugar if you wanted to. You would add a 1/2 teaspoon of that, but I'm going to leave that out. And if you can't find superfine sugar and you have a coffee grinder, just clean your coffee grinder out really good and put some sugar in there, and it'll just make that sugar finer. So when we add it to the top, or if you add it to the top, it'll just melt better. Won't take as long to melt. And if you've never put up corn, if you've never frozen corn, I like to freeze as opposed to canning. It's your preference. If you need any information on canning corn or freezing corn, just contact me and I'll let you know how to do that. So basically you have to blanch it for however large your ear of corn is. But I'll be glad to help you, walk you through the process. Most of us have salt and pepper in our pantry. May not be kosher salt, You may have just regular salt, which is fine. When I was talking about the corn cutter, I know many of you may have heard cream corn. Well, corn has a milk in it too, and that corn cutter is great for getting that milk out of the corn, making a cream corn. I'm going to taste this. See if it's about done. That's so good. That is so good. You probably don't even need the salt and pepper on it. I'm going to turn it off. I think it's done because I don't want it to get mushy. Okay, and this is when we're going to add our 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And then if you wanted to add that sugar to it, you could. That's when you would add it. And that was a 1/2 teaspoon. I'm going to taste it with our salt and pepper. That is so good. And you don't need the sugar. If you go ahead and cook your corn, as soon as you get it out of the field, it's going to taste wonderful. And I hope you're going to give this recipe a try, this summertime favorite. And I hope you will go out and support a local farmer and buy some beautiful corn this season. Hope to see you next time on Tasty Tuesday.